Welcome back to the channel. This is No Luck Trucking. I'm Matt, and we are sitting in the dock waiting for our dedicated load to get loaded. We leave out in probably about an hour and a half, something like that. Yeah, so like the title says, did we get scammed on this truck? So a lot of people, if you go searching for a lease purchase, first thing that you're going to see is a million different threads saying lease purchase is a scam, especially if it's at a carrier. So for those that don't know, because we didn't really put it out a ton, so we were at Prime Inc. We were having some issues with our dispatcher. We switched dispatchers to one Johnson's Logic, who also used to work at Prime. He had a fleet manager and he loved him. He said it was the best. So we switched over to that guy. Just didn't work out for us. I don't know, I guess we didn't mesh or whatever, but towards the end he was actually legitimately sabotaging our business. So they have a program where you can like look at 3 loads and pick ones yourself, and if you don't find something, then your dispatcher or fleet manager, whatever you want to call them, will find a load for you. Then it wasn't a load board, I can't remember what they called it, but load choice, that's right, and they made it clear that it wasn't a load board. But anyways, so you would always put in a time that you were going to be empty so that you could look at the loads that were going to be picking up around the time that you were empty. So that time, that empty time, is very, very important. And he was going in and he would change it for like days or weeks out so that we would not be able to use load choice, and the people planning and finding the loads weren't looking for a load for us until after we delivered, and then we would have to call in to see why we haven't gotten the load. So we ended up just quitting Prime. One day we were sitting in a dock getting loaded. We were driving over to Baltimore to deliver the load, and along the way we just both agreed, we're like, let's just go home. So we finished that load, we went home, we started thinking about our life pretty heavily, and we decided to just quit. We didn't have a plan. We knew that we wanted to go to Landstar, but we didn't have a truck. And it was right at the start of the truck market going crazy. So selection was low, prices were high. We actually put a bid in on a 2018 Peterbilt 389. And thankfully we did get approved, but they wanted a lot of money down. And it was significantly marked up. But at the time, it looked like a pretty good truck and it fit all of our needs and stuff. But thankfully we didn't get that because the fuel prices, you know, you guys know what happened to fuel prices. That would have absolutely destroyed our business with fuel costs rising, fuel economy really low. Cost to run that truck is a little bit higher. So we didn't get approved for that. We were still trying to, you know, source a truck. We looked into leasing. So SFI they wanted us to send some money for Volvo, but they didn't have an estimated time when was one of them was going to arrive, and they were pretty backed up on Freightliners, even though we didn't really want one. And I think they had Kenworth, might have been Kenworth. I know they had International, but those don't exist to us because I'm not driving one. So what they didn't tell us was there was a strike going on at the Volvo plant, and they weren't getting new trucks in. So we would have sent the deposit and then kind of been stuck because they weren't going to send it back. So a friend of ours who had left Prime previously, in his searching for a truck, he ran across Transport Enterprise Leasing. So he's like, hey, hit them up, they're out of Chattanooga, it seems pretty good. So that's the way that we went. So we went with Transport Enterprise Leasing, and it is a lease truck with the option to purchase at the end. So it was fairly reasonable. We put in, at the time it was like a $10,000 security deposit. And then they wanted us to run a mandatory escrow account, which would normally be cent per mile based on the number of miles that you drove for the week. But since we weren't with a carrier, like a mega carrier, that's typically who they lease to, we agreed on a set rate for the escrow. So that sat in an account and got pulled out every single week. And then at the very end, we used some of it for the down payment, and then we got refunded the rest and the security deposit back. But so back to the point of, everyone says that lease purchase is a scam. You never own the truck and everything like that. So somebody commented in the last video saying it's all about the contract and what's in the contract, which I fully agree with. So before we got this truck, I read every single word on that contract, front to back, a few times. So we asked all the questions that I had after we had read through it. Everything sounded good. It's laid out black and white. So I think a lot of people get into this thing of, they jump into it, they don't really read the stuff over, they just kind of assume what's in the contract, and then they'll get hit with something out of the blue that's in the contract, but they didn't prepare for it because they never read it. It happened a lot at Prime, and then those same people that were content with leasing the truck, once something happened where they had to turn it back in, or they could no longer lease it, or they quit or whatever, they would just turn around and say it was a scam. But even when we were leasing from a carrier, I never felt like we were getting scammed. So we were paying a premium for the truck, but it was an opportunity to make a lot more money than the cent per mile that we could have made. So again, that was another thing. Like, you had to read the contract front and back to know what was in it, to know what was expected, to know what they would charge for, the possibility to take the truck back, anything like that. So in our contract on this particular truck, they give you warnings when maintenance is coming up, because the new trucks do have a program where you can go in and see how many miles are on a truck, like log into this like Peterbilt portal. You can kind of not really track the trucks, but you can track the maintenance for it. So they would let us know when maintenance was coming up due, and we would have to get a service and send them in receipts. So obviously we paid for the servicing, and we would send them in receipts. But in the contract it says if you fail to maintain the vehicle, they can nullify the contract and repossess the truck. So there was I saw a YouTube video of a guy, I'm pretty sure he worked for Landstar as well, also out of Transport Enterprise Leasing, where he had an issue with the shop, and he refused to make a payment or something like that while the truck was getting worked on, which is clearly in the contract. You have to continue making payments even if the truck is down, because Transport Enterprise Leasing doesn't have any they're not the dealership. They didn't build the truck or anything like that. They're just financing it through the dealership for you, and you're paying them, and then at the end you can purchase it outright. So in the contract it states that you can't stop paying even if the truck is in the shop. But they also offered us downtime, I think it was downtime accounts, where if you pay into this account, if you were broke down, they would pause your payments or something like that, and then they would kind of like prorate them on your next few payments until it's paid back. But we never once touched the maintenance escrow, and we never set up a breakdown fund. They would call us every month trying to get us to sign up for that, and they were like, well, you need a breakdown account. I was like, we have a breakdown account. Our business account is the breakdown account. Our business account is our escrow. Our business account is everything. Like, I would rather save the money ourselves and have full control over the money than pay into some account that somebody else is making the interest and doing whatever they're doing with our money, but ultimately have a say so in like how we spend the money, which doesn't sit right to me. So we never went with that. But overall, I never felt like we got ripped off. The payment was high. Like I don't recommend this to everyone. You would have to look at the financials and understand your business costs and things like that. But for us, we haven't had any problem making the payment every single week, even with the rates going in the dumpster. We've paid it. We paid the mandatory maintenance escrow that we were paying was almost $300 a week. So $1,200 a month is what we were paying into that. So we had, actually I think it was a little bit more, because altogether we had about $34,000 in the maintenance escrow, which got returned to us. But yeah, I think it gave us a good opportunity, because overall, when I ran the full numbers, even with financing it now, like the remainder, the buyout, it still comes out to be what a truck would cost us off the lot right now. Run financing or whatever through that couple years, plus the cost of the truck, we're paying the exact same amount. And then yeah, some other people in the comments were saying that we got ripped off because truck prices are going way down. So I was like, man, am I that far removed from the truck market? Because I haven't looked in a while. I know the truck market was absolutely on fire with some ridiculous prices for these jalopies. So I was like, man, maybe I'm out of touch. So I went searching for a comparable truck. So a 2022 with similar miles, I put between 200 and 300,000 miles. It's going for like a private sale was selling for 103,000. All the dealerships are going for about 125,000 for the same mileage truck, similar specs, whole deal. But yeah, so you can find cheaper trucks on the market, absolutely. Like if you want to buy a used truck, absolutely, you can buy a cash truck for way cheaper than what we paid for it. But if you want a truck that you've had since, we picked it up with 100 miles on it, we put every mile on it. We were the ones that took care of all the maintenance, whether we took it somewhere or we did it ourselves. We know how it's maintained. We put the APU on it, hasn't idled. We did all the upgrades that we've done so far. So to me, that's worth even more than just the truck value, just knowing where the truck's been. So a lot of people were concerned that we overpaid for the truck, but I really don't think so. Because like I said, we know every single mile that's been on this. Anytime you buy a used truck, you're having the potential of getting somebody's problem child, or it could be a good truck. But either way, if you're going to find a cheaper truck, it's definitely going to be more mileage and an older truck, or an older truck, or. So I think we got a pretty good deal. And as far as like the lease purchase aspect, I'm gonna do a video based on our interaction with Transport Enterprise Leasing, because there was a few things we didn't like. But like I said, it was all in the contract, so it wasn't a surprise. Like, we didn't get ripped off or scammed or anything. Everything that we didn't care for was in the contract. We knew ahead of time. So they followed the contract to the T. We followed the contract to the T. So everything that was in there was no surprises. So I don't feel like we got ripped off. We didn't get ripped off in the price. We didn't get ripped off in the contract. We ended up, being able to take possession of the truck from them. So, it worked out for us. But on that same token, where people say that leasing from a carrier is a scam as well. I know a ton of people that have completed their leases and own the trucks, or have read the contract enough to know that after a certain amount of time you can buy the truck, you can get your own financing and buy the truck from them. So I know a lot of people have done that as well. Even Johnson's Logic, he got his truck and pieced out from Prime with the quickness, got that Volvo, and bounced out of there. So he made it through there as well. I know a lot of people that have purchased them from it. So it's always been a thing, you know, like when we first started trucking, we were doing a lot of research into trucking, and everyone always said lease purchase is a scam. So we went in thinking that we were just going to be company drivers for a while and then maybe go lease at some time. But after both of our trainers were lease operators, and I was helping them with the financials, and I was just seeing what we were making, and we just jumped in and did that straight away. I mean, it kind of sucks paying into the truck, and we didn't walk away with any of the trucks from Prime Inc. We got rid of the Freightliner because it rode like a Freightliner, and then we didn't have the Peterbilt long enough to take that out of Prime. So we kind of just left without a plan, and then it worked out. It's worked out pretty well. I still remember the first video that we posted going to Landstar. Somebody said, "Oh, you'll be back to Prime." I'm still waiting. Hasn't happened yet. I don't see it on the horizon either, but you know, I like that company for what it was, but I just can't go back. Once we have the freedom, just can't go back. But anyways, all this long rambling to say, no, I don't think we got scammed. I think the truck was adequately priced for the market. We made it through the contract. It cost a lot. Don't get me wrong. It was like a $1,300 payment every week, but we were able to pay it no problem and even save money. And you know, we almost could have bought the truck outright, but with the market the way it is, I'd rather have a stockpile of cash than a mostly paid off truck. But we are going to make an effort to, I'd like to pay it off in a year, but if the rates don't go up, that might be a little ambitious. It might be a year and a half. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.